I'm a big fan of yours, and thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming. It's just like it's
Great to be here.
unbelievable,
Thank
and one of the things that made well, of course, it's important for us at the slot car community to have such a important person on the outdoor road here, and every time that we cross real racing with model racing, it's very good for us because shows how important this is for kids to start to race and to start to grow.
No question.
yeah.
That's how I got started. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were telling me about your slot car track. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when I was
You see, everybody, every time that somebody starts to talk about slot cars, big smile comes up.
sure. The when I was a child, I had started off obviously with HO cars, and then I got into slot cars. And in those days, this was probably in 1970. I was 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh in a little town called Monessen, Pennsylvania. It was a half-hour drive for my parents to take me to the slot car track, to race, and and then the slot car track place went out of business. So my father went down and bought one of the tracks. It was a figure eight, 4 lanes.
It's nice.
Full, plywood and
Plywood.
real track.
Road track, yeah.
Yes, and we bought 20 cars.
Oh, okay.
And like 4 controllers or something.
It's a hell of a dad.
Yeah, it was good. It was big, and then we put it up in the mezzanine and above the garage.
Wow.
And and then we were in the racing business. And then obviously, raced for years and years up in there.
So you have friends over and have races?
Certainly had friends over. When you have one car, it's a lot of fun. When you have 20 of them, it's you get a lot of people, and we had
coming around.
Yeah, so we had a great time, and then that's when you started learning about tires and motors and
so it's official. Right? It's official. We can tell that Chip Ganassi started his racing career with slot cars.
No question. And of course that developed into go karts and what have you, and on and on and on. But certainly. That's when I started tinkering with things, though. You started tinkering with, like you see that model there of Montoya's car.
Yeah.
And obviously you can, you look there and you can change the tire compounds. It's got some aerodynamics on it. It's got some
suspension.
Body those are all things that I'm not doing anything different today than I did on a slot car. It's just a few more zeros on the checks, but. It certainly brings back a lot of fond memories, and that's where we started to play with cars. We started to play with these, and in some ways, it's just an expansion of my youth. What I'm doing today.
Yeah, I like working here. Sometimes I feel a little cocky. I went to visit one of the manufacturers, one of the Indy headquarters, one of the teams, and I looked at the car. The car was without the body. I was like, I can make some stuff on here. And he called me, shut up. I said, we can get a couple, I don't know, maybe a tenth, just to look at it. We have other models here. And this guy here for me is kind of special. I saw this in real life at the Ford Museum. I believe it was the 69 car, not the 68. This is the winner.
Right.
People don't realize that you pull a Carl Shelby 50 years after, right?
50 years to the day.
To the day.
Yes,
And
exact same date, 50 years to the day. You only get one shot at 50 years to the day. Right, so that was from 66 to 2016.
16, yeah.
And we were very lucky. Edsel and Bill Ford were both there at Le Mans. And, there's a great photograph of those two guys up on the podium.
Yeah.
And the French would only let 2 people on the podium. So I pushed Edsel up there instead of me. And I said, you go up there, be up there. And
So this is kind of a cool story because it was the first time the Ford GTE was racing, right?
Yes.
Oh, you guys did the whole year. You did Daytona and
right.
Sebring.
Started off in Daytona. Yeah.
Just like the real story.
No, it is the real story.
I mean the old story, not the real story.
Yeah. And it was interesting because at 11 o'clock in the morning we passed the Ferrari, and of course the race was over at 4 p.m. or something, and we led from 11 a.m. on Sunday to 4 p.m. to the finish.
Yeah.
And it was quite a.
And was 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2?
No, it was 1, 3, 4. The Ferrari
1, 3,
was
4.
second. Right. Yeah.
And one of your cars didn't finish, right?
One of them didn't finish. I think they finished. They were just backing off.
Yeah, the ones that they have.
We had 4 cars, and
That's pretty cool. How this is my curiosity. How a deal like that happens? Like Ford comes with this project, they want to win Le Mans, and they call you, look, just make this a race car, a winning race car, and you go for it. Is something like that? How does relationship with the manufacturers have? Because you've been dealing with Honda, with GM, with Ford. And how is this approach? Why they choose you, or were you interested in something to go there? Because it's a race car. It's something that it's a huge project.
Well, so with Ford, for example, they had the idea. So Ford has the idea. They had Multimatic involved to build the car. Then they needed a team to race it. So if you look at Ford over the years, that's kind of how they've done it. They did that back in the '60s, where they built the car themselves, but they had a race team race the car.
Yeah.
They brought the Wood brothers to Indianapolis with Colin Chapman built the car, but the Wood brothers raced the car. So they try to get the best of each of those and bring them together and make a team. That's what we did. So Multimatic gave us a good car, and we raced it. And yeah,
that's pretty awesome. Like this, I think this story is not explored yet. The fact that you went there with a new car and won 50 days was just like.
Well, we went there with a new car last year too, and we were third.
Oh,
so we know our way around Le Mans. Yeah, we think we know our way around there. We have a good idea what it takes to win there.
I have another slot car to show you. That might bring something.
Wow. Look at that. My first time at Le Mans. Yes.
Talking about Le Mans.
Yes.
It's kind of cool, right?
Yes. That's the last racing car I drove.
I know. That's why I brought you. I know.
Really special.
Yeah.
Really, really special.
Pretty
Peter
fancy.
Sauber, that's the Sauber car. Was sponsored by YSL, Yves Saint Laurent.
Yves Saint Laurent.
And great car. Great. Drove that car with Johnny Dumfries and Mike Thackwell. Was in one car. Our other team car was Henry Pescarolo.
Number 61.
Yeah. And it's a great car, fast car. And unfortunately, we didn't finish. Yeah.
But it still was kind of the coolest car ever. This is a very popular slot car. People really like it. And the company that makes it slotted. This is the only car that they put the decals on the tires. If you see, there's like those yellow dots on the tires.
Yeah.
Super special.
Michelin's. I remember speaking of the tires. The rain tires they made at that time were as good as the dries. And it was something we were completely foreign to us in the U.S. because, rain tires were, 10 seconds slower than the dries. So and the Michelin tires in the rain were just spectacular, I remember.
And that was back in 1987, right?
87,
And that was the last time that you entered a car?
I'm sorry?
That's the last time that you entered a race?
That's the last time I drove, yes. Yes.
Don't you feel sometimes when you see the cars, say, well, let me give it a go?
I do, but being in the business now, I don't want our sponsors to think don't know whether I want to drive or have a team, so I'm pretty good on the team. So I seem to be a little better at this team side thing too than I was.
But even after the race, here guys, look, $50 for each. Just stay an hour, then let everybody go.
I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing now. Thanks. Yeah, but I do. Sure, I think about that. It's it's reliving your youth.
Yeah,
no question.
Yeah,
that's why I'm here today.
There you go.
Yeah,
picking up some slot cars. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
One thing that I know that you don't speak much about it, but I don't think you were uncomfortable talking about it, about the 83 incidents.
84.
Michigan,
when I crashed,
right?
yes.
When I crashed, right?
Yeah.
Because
I don't mind talking about
that kind of cut short your career, right?
I think so, yeah. Probably, closed one door and opened some other ones, yeah. Yeah.
But because that day you kind of realized that your future on it.
Well, I was out of the car for 6 months after that.
Yeah.
And so it gives you a little time to gather your thoughts together, and you're trying to decide whether to continue, and you have to make a commitment. It's not only a personal commitment yourself when you're a driver these days, but you have to. It's not just. It doesn't just take a driver to be a part of the thing. You have to. It takes the driver, the engineers, the mechanics, the team, the sponsor. There are a lot of people involved, so it's a real commitment, a personal commitment that you have to make to bring all these other people along with you. Sort of, and they have families and they have careers, and they're putting their faith in you to be a part of this team, and go forward. So it's sort of like a 5-year sort of commitment or something you have to make, a personal commitment, 3 or 5 years or something.
And I just, back in those days, I was getting pulled. I was getting pulled in a family. We had a family business. I was getting pulled in that direction. And do I really want to? How long can I stay in racing as a driver? And so it just gave me a different perspective to look at it another way. And that's when I started thinking about team ownership, and I could still be involved in the sport, and maybe have a little more longevity than being a driver.
And the drivers, well, the respect, the driver is just a piece. You still have the whole structure going on, and if something happens with the driver, you can replace it. Sometimes not easily, but you can replace it. You keep all the structure, all the enterprise behind it happening.
Well, again, I'd gone to business school, and I was kind of thinking, boy, I'm kind of not using my education at all. I was just being a driver. So, and I knew the longer I stayed a driver, the more difficult it was going to be to back out of being a driver.
Mm-hmm.
And some opportunities came along, and I was able to stay in the sport and still get my enjoyment out of it. And then, sure enough, it turns into a business. A year or two later, that I just thought maybe it was a couple year thing, and then it turns into a business before you know it, and here we are today.
And one thing that I
35 years later.
35 years later. So you start at Indy at 23, I heard, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I graduated from college. It turned.
Did you tell your mom about that? Did she know? It was quite dangerous back there. Oh my God.
Well, I was always in racing something or other. Before that, whether it was go-karts, dirt bikes. But
come on.
Yeah. Well, but I'd been in smaller Formula cars.
It was gradual.
The whole way up. Yes. It was gradual, and I was lucky. I was pretty lucky to have my parents' support, have the support of, some companies that at the time I don't know if I think might have been. Jose Lee Garza was the youngest driver at the time. He was a little younger than me.
Okay.
And that was maybe the second youngest driver at the time.
Still 23 is just insane
Sure.
to go on that piece of metal. Like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very lucky. Yeah. That was 1982, a long time ago. Yeah.
One thing that I always notice when I'm at the races, even if your drivers don't have a good result, you always on their side as soon as they pop out of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures of you just talking to Scott Dixon for half an hour after the race, literally touching the car and showing things. And I think this is a big part of your success, and that's why most of the drivers want to drive for you.
Well, being a driver once, I think I can put myself in their shoes. And, a lot of times you see the performance of a driver, you look at a result, and, being there on the radio the whole day, I know that maybe the result isn't necessarily reflective of their performance that day. While a fan may say, "Oh, he finished fourth," well, that was bad, but it's not. Fourth isn't bad if you have a sixth place car.
Yeah.
If you have a sixth place car and you finish fourth, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
If you have a first place car and you finish fourth, that's a bad day. So it's not always the result that appears in the sheet, that's reflective of how the day went or what was going on. So
the weekend, right? The whole.
Yeah, there are a lot of race wins that don't make the results page, if you will, and so there's a lot more going on than just the result of the. There's a lot more that goes into it. So, and so when you're aware of that all weekend, we have very successful weekends. Sometimes it don't show up in the results. Yeah.
I have a very specific question. I think you're the best person, so I can ask that.
Sure.
Why Indy cars don't have the same team livery? Why we have so many different team liveries? I understand each driver has their own sponsor, but there's not a way to mix that and have one single car so people can identify. You had this with Target.
That's a good question, Mark.
You had this with Target.
Yeah, we had it with Target. Oftentimes it just comes down to the money. And, people write a big check like that, and they want their own car.
The whole car.
They want if they write a big enough check, they get the whole car. And we'd like to have a team color. And, some teams can get away with that. And we're just not in a financial position to do that. I mean, it's finances. And I'm not crying that I'm poor or anything, but it just
But I think with more, that's my opinion. With more branded identity, everybody will benefit from that.
Certainly, the history of the sport would show you that does.
Wow.
And I think in some small way we tie all the teams together as one team. one goal, one team. You know, all the drivers are certainly all in the same room talking about performance. You know, there's no number one driver on our team. They all get the same equipment, and so it's you know, we don't have any team orders, who's in front of who or whatever. It's every man for himself.
They're out.
Yeah. So we just ask they don't hit each other. And so, other than that, but it's we work hard at keeping the team as one team, though. And I think our partners all know that are involved with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the same thing for me with the helmets. People are just going crazy with the helmets. What happened? Like we showed this car for a friend Marty here, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's Montoya's helmet." He knows.
Right.
Today you cannot identify anymore. They're changing every single race, and I don't think they're benefiting from it. I feel like in 20 years we're gonna see this helmet thing, just like we see clothes from the 90s. And don't show me that. It's just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an opinion, you know, that, I mean, everybody's got an opinion, and that's good. I think that's what makes racing great, you know, is the passion that people feel about it. You know, people, that's the great thing about motor racing, whether it's slot cars or sports cars, formula cars, everybody's filled with passion about it for one reason or another.
Yeah.
We all want our passions to be, you know, poked from time to time.
Yeah.
And
that's very clear for me when the Drive to Survive came along.
Sure.
And the old fans and say, "Oh my God, how many new fans you need? Those guys don't know nothing about it."
Right.
And they kind of in this defensive way about their knowledge about Formula One and auto racing. On that page, do you think IndyCar is doing a similar job to bring new fans?
I think all sports are having to find new fans now. You know, there's so many. You know, the baby boom generation is dwindling. You know, and there aren't that many people. There aren't that many people in the generations behind it, whether it's Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, whatever they call it these days. There just aren't the number of people that were in the baby boom generation. So these sports that had all sports that have had so many participants and fans over the years, that fan base is dwindling. So we're all all the sports are basically stealing fans from other sports and trying to bring them into their sport, and they're doing everything they can to do that. And, you know, I think, you know, you have the core group of people that are always going to be fans, and then you have people that come and go as fans and get interested. But
more superficial, but come and go, but at least they're
But the good news is they're all passionate, you know, so it's good to, There just aren't as many of them as there used to be in all sports.
Really?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Carlos, he definitely didn't agree with me on the helmets thing, but okay, I'm gonna make a note on that. That's fine.
No, I think, you know, that we try to, you know, because of the drivers, you know, I didn't mention this, because of the drivers are, you know, we're asking them to come drive the car, but you got to wear this color, you got to wear this, you got to be that, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. So we kind of let them, on our team anyway, we let them have the helmet design. We let them have their own personal artwork or whatever they want on their helmet. We sort of leave that up to them to let them have some personal identity.
My whole thing is just like you should stick with one, and then you're going to be remembered by that.
Well, that's between you and the drivers. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Still not agreeing. Still not agreeing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do two technical stuff, and
sure.
The first one is about the Dallara chassis.
Mm-hmm.
When you were racing, we see people come up with new innovation things and different cars and different motors, like this.
No question.
Right now, it seems like everybody has the same equipment. And of course, the field is more mixed.
Mm-hmm.
You can see different winners. We can see, of course, you have the top drivers and the top teams. But sometimes can happen like a more diverse result. But don't you think that one of the big parts where IndyCar, in my opinion, is losing this hardcore feeling, is that everybody's racing the same thing and there is no innovation?
No question. Yeah, I mean it's again, it's a delicate balance, Marco. These you have to balance innovation and technology with expense. Okay, and you just can't. You don't want to turn racing into an arms race. We can have an arms race, and whoever has the most money is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we want it to be about, in IndyCar anyway, we want it to be about the driver, and we want it to be about the driver's talent, and not about just how much money somebody's going to throw at it. Now, people are always looking for ways to circumvent those rules and get around it, and spend budget caps or spend more money off track or whatever, or this is included in the budget cap, that's not. And I think what you find with most of these sports with budget caps, they spend quite a bit of money working around the budget cap, and it just moves the money in a different direction. So, but yeah, I mean the fact that we're all driving the same car, it's a cost thing. I mean it's something where you have to balance participation with expense. I mean we don't want someone to show up with a $10 million budget or a $20 million budget and not make a race or not be in a race. Or somebody would want to spend a $50 million budget on one car and be at the front all the time and win every race. We don't want that either. So.
Well, at the same time, we want a new entries in the Indy 500.
Sure. I think the mechanism is there. The rules are set in a way that they're open enough for people to get involved and to come in. And I think you're going to see some things coming in the coming years that are going to make it, that are sort of opening up the sport for some other involvement.
Ricardo Juncos from
Argentina.
Amazing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he came up with two good cars now. Two cars on the grid.
Sure.
Yeah, I just feel like when we see 80s and 90s, especially me as a Brazilian, seeing Emerson and Gil and those guys,
PK, all these guys.
Well, PK came and raced just
a couple of races.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah. Those cars are just like more hardcore, and I feel like.
Well, it's all a matter, Marco, what generation you come from. And you look back and you say, those were the days.
Yeah.
And I just drove up here this morning with some friends, and they talk about the '60s and the '70s were the days. And you're talking about the '70s and the '80s.
No, '80s and '90s.
It depends who you call.
We all came all the way to call me old. Jesus Christ!
I know, but we all. Look, we all. We all want to, no matter what age we are, we all want to go back to our youth when everything's, we were all wide-eyed and enjoyed it, and everything seemed attainable and real. And, as you get older, you realize, life hits you in the face, and we all want to be young again. And again, that's one of the reasons I'm here today. I'm reliving my youth, and, but those people always say, those were the days, those were the days. And you know what I say? I say, these are the days.
These are the days. Good.
Yeah.
Well, in slot cars, they call it the golden era between the 60s and the 70s. And people say, we used to have 3,500 slot car raceways in America, more than Subway restaurants today. But if you see what we're living now with the amount of cars that you can buy at $60, $50, and they are reliable and you can race and they have all the parts available and have this bright store in El Segundo close to your house, I think that's something that I tell them. Like these are the golden days. Like enjoy the life right now.
Right.
And you're right. We have this vintage nostalgic feeling about me and Carlos. We from the same hometown in Brazil, so we were born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s watching Senna and PK, and every time that you put one of those Marlboro cars over there, we feel something. And that's probably your friends from feeling about something about the 60s and Jim Clark's and whatever it was.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
Jackie Stewart, we're honoring Jackie Stewart tonight at the Long Beach Grand Prix. So
is he
looking
here?
forward to that. And he's here.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. Jackie, I met him once in a Heineken event. Chip, I have a lot of questions. I could stay here for the whole day. I've even prepared for the first time, but I don't want you to hold any longer. I know that you have a busy weekend, and as much as I know that everybody's probably ready and you have good guys working there, I know that as soon as you get there, you're going to get busy. So thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me. This is really special, and I appreciate no problem taking the time. And give me some time to go out in the showroom here and have some fun.
Open the boxes. Be my guest. How's yours? Thank you very much, Chip.
Thank you.